Welcome to Align Christ-Centered Yoga. My name is Linda, and I'm going to be guiding your practice today. Today outside it is raining, it is cold, it is miserable, and my daily reading took me to Noah. And this description of Noah jumped off the page. Noah was a righteous man, blameless in his generation. Noah walked with God. This is the only description of Noah. He was blameless and he walked with God. It reminded me of Paul's letter to the Romans, where he reminds us that we cannot be righteous on our own, that it is only through the grace and mercy of Jesus Christ that we can be righteous, but that in that righteousness we walk with God. From chapter 8, verses 3 and 4. For God has done what the law, weakened by the flesh, could not do. By sending his own Son in the likeness of sinful flesh and for sin, he condemned sin in the flesh, in order that the righteous requirement of the law might be fulfilled in us, who walk not according to the flesh, but according to the Spirit. Through Christ we are righteous, and through Christ we walk with God. Today we're going to work on alignment. We're going to go back to the basics. We're going to build the poses carefully. And I would invite you as we do that to think about your own alignment spiritually. Where are you with Jesus right now? And what is stuck and what needs to be unbound? Props are going to be really useful in this practice. So if you have a block or something that's about 4 inches thick, go ahead and elevate your hips, sit up on that prop. Find your sitting bones. So as we start aligning, let's start right here. Maybe move the flesh of the buttocks away. Rock a little bit forward. Notice the tendency to overarch the back. Rock a little bit back. Notice the tendency to round shoulders. Can you find this place right on top of the sitting bones? And in that, the upper body begins to align with ease. So the shoulders are over the hips, the elbows are directly underneath the shoulders, hands are just lightly on the legs. Feel a little space between each of the vertebrae of the spine, the neck lengthening, the top of the head rising up towards the sky. If you haven't already, close your eyes. Begin to let go of the world around you, the room around you. Come to your mat. Notice the way that the feet and the legs are connected to the mat. Notice the heaviness of the sitting bones on the prop. Going even further inward, begin to notice your breath. Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it deep? Is it shallow? Take both hands to your chest, and breathing in and out through the nose, can you fully expand the chest front to back, side to side? Exhale, deflating the lungs. 2 more breaths here. Feel the lungs opening almost shoulder to shoulder. Take the hands down to the rib cage, thumb behind you, fingers forward. Inhaling, open up the rib cage. And exhaling, close it. So think of the ribs hinging on that spine, expanding as they open, contracting as they close. 1 more breath here. Hands low in the abdomen. As you inhale, feel the belly rise. Fill that diaphragm muscle with air. Exhale, draw the belly in. Can you feel the breath in the back of the body as well, even here? One more breath here. As you're ready, release. Again, just resting the hands lightly on the legs. Check in physically. Notice where the body feels a little tense or achy or tight today. Notice where it feels stuck. Notice your mental state. Check in spiritually. Where do you feel stuck? Where are you thriving? Invite the Holy Spirit to move through your practice today, unbinding you in every way, freeing you to walk in the Spirit. Let the hands come down to the mat, taking a deep breath in, draw arms up and overhead, palms together. Exhaling, bring the arms down. Connect movement with breath and lead with breath. Inhale up. Exhale down. As you breathe in, push up from underneath the arms. Use those serratus muscles at the side to push up and to pull down. 2 more times here. And on this final time, let the gaze come up as the arms rise. And as the hands come down, bow your head. Press into the right fingertips, the head rise up. Bring the arms up and over towards the right. And then go the other direction. So as we begin to move side to side, can you move from the center out? Draw that lower rib in. Imagine that you're coming up and over a bar. The hands and the arms simply following the movement of the body simply following the breath. Go ahead and bring that right hand down to the mat. Reach with that left arm. Overreach a bit and anchor back into the sitting bones. Begin to stack the shoulders. Draw the gaze up if that works for you. And as you inhale, fully inflate the lungs. And just gently draw the muscles of the chest up and towards the ceiling. Can you lighten the shoulder on the left side? So instead of shrugging it up to your ear, draw it down towards your hip. Inhale up, rise, and go to the other side. Same thing here. Find it on your own. Anchoring into the sitting bones, stacking the shoulders, drawing the muscles of the chest up. As you're ready, release. Go ahead and come off the block. Bring the blocks or props towards the front of your mat. Go ahead and bring your right leg out to the side. So wiggle your foot side to side a couple of times. Point and flex the foot. Flex the foot. Draw the heel in towards the hip and then push the leg out. Fully activate the muscles of the leg. So the calf muscle is tight. The quadricep muscle is drawing in towards the hip. The knee is pointing straight up to the ceiling. Use the muscles of the abs to twist the body towards that leg. Exhale, draw the belly in, come forward. Inhale, come up. One more time here. You're just checking in, noticing where you're a little tight, where you might need to be a little careful. Come to wherever the body takes you. So maybe hands are on the mat, maybe you're holding onto that foot. Can you find a little more length in the lower back? Bend your knee as much as you need to find the stretch in the hamstring. So no shaking, no struggle. Where are you still holding tension? Maybe you're still holding tension in the shoulders or in the jaw. Find your breath and release the tension. As you're ready, release, press into your hands and come up and switch sides. Find your sitting bones again, maybe lift up and settle back down into it. Shake that foot side to side, just like a windshield wiper. Point and flex a couple of times. Draw the heel in towards the hips and then push the foot away from the body. Tighten up the quadricep, bringing that muscle in towards the hip. Engage through the calf muscle. Arms come out, hands are just a little lower than the shoulders. Exhale forward, inhale back. Come all the way forward to the foot and release. So the body is centered towards that leg. And come forward and settle in. How is this stretch different than the stretch on the other side? Can you engage that leg a little bit more? Can you find a little more length in the lower back? As you're ready, press the hands into the mat and release. Go ahead and bring both legs out to the side. Again, just windshield wiper the feet. Flex the feet, draw them in towards the hips. Push the legs out, activate the legs, find the sitting bones. Turn the toes just slightly to the outside. Fingertips on the mat. Hinge at the hips. So can you come forward without bending at the waist? Just go to wherever the body takes you. Stay there. Breathe in, breathe out. Maybe with breath, you find a little more stretch. One more breath here. As you're ready, press into the hands and rise up. Bring the soles of the feet together into butterfly. Right, and lift and lower the legs a few times here. And as you're ready, just let those knees come down towards the mat. So maybe if you're tight through here like I am, you support the knees with a block. Maybe those legs are all the way down in the mat. Again, notice where you are in the sitting bones and notice the effect of it. If I'm too far behind, I'm rounding my shoulders over. If I'm too far forward, it's intensely uncomfortable for me. Perch right on top of the sitting bones and lean forward from the hips. From here, use the arms and the hands to find the stretch that's right for you. So maybe you use those elbows to guide the thighs down a bit more. Maybe you use the hands to massage out the feet. Just come inside that tendon and massage that tendon out, right? Not on it, right beside it. As you're ready, one more breath here. And release. Hands underneath the knees. Cross the ankles, come forward, bring the props towards the front again, out of the way. Meet me in table. Aligning, finding alignment. There's a pocket of air in the palm of your hand. You're pressing at the base of the first finger, pinky finger, each side of the wrist, lightly into each fingertip. Where are the elbows facing? Can you draw the elbows in towards each other? It's an internal rotation of the forearm. Can you externally rotate the shoulders? Right? So think of your arm as a corkscrew. The forearm turning in, the upper arm turning out. Begin to press a little bit more through the tops of your feet. So you're no longer heavy and sinking into the knees. And notice the alignment of the back. So I tend to overarch my back. Maybe I need to draw the belly in, release that a little bit. Maybe for you, it's about rounding the shoulders, and you need to draw those shoulder blades out and back and down. Find a healthy, neutral position of the spine. Head and neck are an extension of the spine. As you find your first cat pose, start at the pelvis, exhale and draw the belly in and let the head drop. Inhaling, find cow. Draw the chest through the arms. Feel the release in the back and the stretch in the abs. So back and forth here 2 more times. Again, checking in, noticing what's going on in your body, making adjustments as needed. Come into cat and stay there. Okay, the back of the head drop towards the mat. Open up a little bit more across the shoulder blades and breathe into the back of the body. Inhaling, draw the chest through the arms. Let the back arch. Keep the head and the neck in alignment with the spine. As you inhale, find a little more length in the spine. Exhale, find support as the belly draws in. Exhaling, find child's pose. Draw the hips back towards the heels. Hands forward, forearms to the mat, head to the mat. Stay here and breathe. Breathe in, breathe out. This is the pose that we come back to for rest. Come back to it at any point during any practice. Meet me back in table. Come to a kneeling plank. So as we establish plank, you're going to tighten up through those abdominals. Find a straight line from the front of the knees all the way up to the front of the shoulders. And exhale down to the mat. Elbows drawing towards each other. Triceps are working. When you come up, take the forearms to the outside of the mat, hands spread wide, Sphinx pose. And come in and out of Sphinx. So I often start my practices with this sequence. And I do it so that we can ease into the practice and so that we can really take the time to check in. Establish your Sphinx pose. Activate those legs. What's going on in your back today? What's going on across the chest or in the abdominal wall? How do the hands and wrists feel? Exhale down. Hands come back to rib cage, come through table, into child. Twice more through this sequence on your own. Kneeling plank to the mat. Sphinx to child. Inhaling, meet me back in table. So we're in table again, fingers spread wide, wrists directly underneath the shoulders. Let's find our downward facing dog. So curl your toes underneath, bring the knees up and into the rib cage, deeply bent. So let's start here and find length in the spine. Again, the back of the head is dropping towards the mat. Pressing forward with the fingers, can you draw the shoulders up and back towards the hips? Feel the sitting bones get a little bit wider, and then begin to pedal through the feet. So you're moving the legs, exploring what feels stuck today, what feels good. Taking a deep breath in, let your heels rise. Exhale, let the heels come down. Downward facing dog, it doesn't matter if the heels touch the mat. You're looking for a stretch in the calf muscles, right? And in the Achilles. It doesn't matter whether the rib cage is all the way back towards the thigh. You're just reaching the ribs towards the legs, reaching the backs of your thighs towards that wall behind you. Go ahead and raise that right leg up to the sky. Drawing the gaze forward, bring your foot all the way through your hands. Drop your back leg down. Take a deep breath in and rise up. So I just want you to notice here the position of that back foot. Maybe it feels good to have those toes curled under. Okay, that is going to also put a little more pressure on your knee. That's okay if that's good for you. If you have knee issues, go ahead and flatten out that foot. Go ahead and settle in a little bit behind the kneecap on the shin. From here, hands to heart, keep that front leg over, the front knee over the ankle, but begin to drop the back hip. Can you feel that stretch now in the psoas muscle in the front of the left hip? Bring the arms all the way up. Exhale, begin to find a back bend. So the back bend starts right at the base of the shoulder blades. I'm lifting up from the hips, and I'm arcing back with the upper back. Exhale, hands down to either side of the foot. Curl the toes under, raise that back leg up. Bring the front foot to the back, find plank. Walking through grasshopper, let the knees come down, and you can just come down and plank if that's better for you. Hips are going to come back a little bit in grasshopper. Chest comes down to within a few inches of the floor. The elbows stay below the shoulder as you pull through. Low cobra, I am still resting on my bottom rib. So there's no compression of the lower spine, right? There's still length in the lower back. Exhale, find your way back to child. From child, come back through table, curl the toes under, knees bent, stay here, downward dog. If you have wrist issues, go ahead and turn your hands slightly out so that the webbing between the thumb and your first finger now reaches towards the front edge of the mat. Notice the elbows, keep the elbows drawn in towards each other. Again, pedal through your feet a little bit. Nice high heels. Exhale, heels come down to the mat. Raise your left leg up. Gaze comes forward, foot comes through your hands. Back knee comes down. Rise up. Again, very intentionally, top of the foot to the mat. It's much more comfortable for me, but maybe your toes are curled under and that's fine. Hands to heart. As the hands come together in prayer, engage the muscles of the upper back. Begin to draw that back hip forward. You might need to move that front leg a little bit. You want to keep this front knee right over that ankle. Okay? Never beyond the middle of the foot. Deep breath in, bring the arms up. Find your back bend. How much length can you find up and down the right side of the body? Exhale down, hands to either side of the foot. Curl the toes under. This time, hop the back foot up to meet the front. Let's build forward fold. Knees deeply bent, rib cage on the thighs. Hold on to the elbows and let gravity draw the top of the head down towards the mat. Find breath here. Begin to lift and lower your hips a little bit. Where do you feel stuck? Where are you tight? Go ahead and settle into tension in the hamstrings, length in the back, and let the hands come down to the mat. Shake the head out, no. Shake the head out, yes. Notice where you begin today. Maybe by the end of the practice, your forward fold will feel very different. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhale down. Push through the feet, rising high. Palms together as you inhale, exhaling, hands to heart. Let's find hip width apart for your feet. So turn your heel to your instep, pivot at the ball of your foot. Feet are parallel to each other, settled underneath the hips. Nice deep breath in, raise the arms all the way up. Hold on to that right wrist. Come up and over to the side. Stretch. Press into that right foot. How much length can you find here? And maybe you turn your gaze up. So build it the same way you did when you were on the floor. Inhale into the lungs. Let those muscles move up towards the ceiling. Rise up. Exhale, hands to the small of your back. Find a back bend here. Support your back. Elbows reach towards each other. Deep breath in, opening up, filling those lungs, shoulder to shoulder. Arms rise high. Hold on this time to that left arm. Come up and over to the right. So that left foot now pushing down into the mat. Left wrist reaching over. Again, maybe looking up. Drawing the ribs back towards that back wall. Maybe drawing in a little bit with the bottom rib on that right side. Nice deep breath in, rise up. Exhale, forward fold, bending the knees as necessary. Tension, but not struggle. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhale down, one leg back and then the other, find plank. Stay in your plank for a moment and find a nice strong plank here. You can come down to your forearms, you can come down to your knees. And for just a moment, let's think about righteousness and alignment. Boundaries help us to stay in alignment, right? Rules and regulations help us. We want to walk in freedom. Where do you feel the call for obedience? Let the knees come down. Find your way down to the mat. Find your back bend. Hips draw back to heels. Child's pose. Come up into table. Curl the toes under. Meet me in downward facing dog. Go ahead and straighten out the legs this time. Think about how this downward facing dog pose compares to the first one you did today. What feels different? As you're ready, take that right leg up to the sky. Drawing the gaze forward, bring the foot all the way forward. Rise up into a full lunge. So let's build our lunge. Drop the back knee down to the mat, hands to hips. Go ahead and move the muscles of the top leg, that right leg, towards the knee. Draw the shoulders back. Engage through the abdominals and begin to just gently press that back thigh up to the sky. Stay right there. Maybe the shoulders can come back a little bit more. Can you engage through the abdominals, soften the rib cage, drop the hips. Arms come out to the side. Use the muscles around the abdominals, the oblique muscles, to twist towards the inside of that front leg. Drop the back arm, lift the front arm, looking over that back shoulder. How much length can you find on the left side of the body? As you're ready, release. Cartwheel the hands forward to either side of that foot. Go ahead and get props if that's good for you. And begin to straighten and bend the front leg. So 2 stretches here, hamstring as you straighten the front leg. And then as you drop that back hip down in the lunge, stretching through the back hip. As you're ready, find the hamstring stretch, lengthened or whatever is right for you. Let the head come down, shake it out, no, and yes. Go ahead and move the props out of the way. Bring hands to either side of that foot. Bend the knee. Lift the hips up to the sky as you float that back leg forward. Find your forward fold. Hands to shins, come up halfway. Exhale down. Let's find chair pose. Drop your hips. Forearms to thighs. Palms together. So sink your hips a little bit and sit back just a little bit. Engage through the abdominals. Bring the arms up just in front of the ears. Let the body rise up as well. So the spine is in neutral position. The same position that it was in when you were in table pose. You're feeling the work in the front of the legs, right? Anterior tibialis in the shin, quadricep muscles. Rise high. Exhale, hands to heart. Check in for just a moment. Notice the way that the feet feel on the mat. Notice the way that the body is aligned right side and left side. Maybe there's a difference after that lunge sequence. Exhale, forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhale down. Find your plank. From plank, draw the knees down to the mat. Come down all the way to the mat. Find your back bend. Come through child. And meet knee in downward facing dog. Again, checking in. Maybe one side of the body feels a little bit longer or lighter than the other. Left leg rises high. Gaze comes forward, foot comes all the way through the hands. So, start by building the lunge. Go ahead and drop that back knee down, rise up. Hands to the top of the thigh. Push the muscles of the thigh towards the knee, the shoulders back, lift the hip points up. From here, curl those toes under in the back and begin to lift that back thigh to the sky, sinking into the front hip. Nice deep breath here, arms rise up. Can you drop the glutes a little bit? Draw the bottom ribs in towards the spine. Arms come out to the side, twist to the inside of that leg, use those abdominal muscles to draw the body to the side. Drop the back arm, lift the front arm. Find your length up and down the right side of the body. As you're ready, release. Cartwheel the hands down to either side of the foot. Find your props. Begin to straighten and bend the front leg. Twofold purpose here, stretching through the front hamstring, the back psoas. As you're ready, settle into the hamstring stretch, maybe drawing that back hip a little bit forward, that front hip crease up and back. Shake your head out, no. Shake your head out, yes. One more breath here. The back of the head reach towards the mat. Lunge that front leg forward. Move the props a little bit out of the way, but within reach. As the front leg bends, lift the hips in the back, float the back leg forward. Find your forward fold. Hands to shins, come up halfway. Exhale down. Bring a block in between your thighs, just above your knees. Forearms to thighs. So we're going to build bridge from here. So you're just very lightly touching the block, holding onto it but not squeezing it. Find length in the spine. Come up into chair pose. Deep breath in. Rise high into mountain. Keep holding on to that block. Find your back bend. So you're just using that block to stabilize your hips and your legs. Exhale, forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhale down, remove the block, but imagine that it's still between your legs. Go ahead and come back into plank. And from plank, come down to the mat. Rise up into back bend. Exhale to child. Curling the toes under, meet me in downward facing dog. Check in again. Feet hip width apart. Imagine that you still have that block between your thighs. Deep breath in, right leg rises high, gaze comes forward, foot comes all the way through. Back foot comes to warrior one stance. So the toes are on the outside edge of the mat. Nice deep breath in, rise high. That back foot is angled slightly forward. It is flat to the mat. There's a little bit of extra weight on the outside edge of the back foot. Again, hands to the thigh in the front. Draw the body back a little bit. Take 2 fingers to each of the hips. Draw the hips down. Hands to heart. This time we're going to go into a twist from here. Hinge forward at the hips, and then rotate. Lost my words there. Bring the outside of the arm to the leg. So, alignment. Options. Hands can be together and flat, one shoulder stacked on top of the other. You'll notice that as you press into the hands, it helps you to strengthen along the upper back, which helps you to draw that back shoulder back. Maybe this isn't great for the wrists. You can come up nice and straight in a fist and just gently bring your top hand over the bottom. Elbows are still one on top of the other. As you settle into the twist, it's coming from the abdominals. It's not coming from the shoulders, head, or neck. Exhale, release, come all the way up. Keep that front leg bent. Exhale the hands behind you. Interlacing the fingers, draw the arms out to the sides of the mat as much as you can. Begin to find your back bend from here. Coming into a humble warrior, again, hinge forward at the hips, come forward as far as you can. Body's parallel to the mat and then drops. Arms come overhead. Find what works for your shoulders. So maybe your arms are extended, your shoulders are releasing and letting go. If you've got rotator cuff issues, all kinds of a myriad of other issues, maybe you're just holding onto your forearms behind you. Maybe your hands are supported at the sacrum. So lots of options here. As you're ready, use the abdominals to begin to draw the body up, the arms down. Release, arms come all the way up, find your back bend. Notice where it goes. Exhale, hands to heart. Back foot comes up to meet the front. Mountain pose. Close your eyes and notice. Are the feet connected in the same way? Notice the length from ankle to knee, knee to hip, hip to shoulder, shoulder to ear on each side. Deep breath in, arms rise. Exhale, forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Exhale down, one leg back and then the other, find plank. From plank, find your way down to the mat, however you choose to do that. Find your back bend. All the way back, hips to heels, child's pose. Come up through table, meet me in downward facing dog. Stay in that downward facing dog for another 2 breaths. Again, checking in, noticing right side and left side. And as you're ready, the left leg will lift high. Gaze comes forward, foot comes through the hands. The right leg will come to warrior one stance. Rise up into warrior one. Hands to knee or thigh. So we're going to build our pose from here again. So the muscles of the leg are moving towards the knee. The shoulders moving back. Hip points are facing to the front edge of the mat, lifting up. A little extra weight in the outside edge of that back foot. Arms rise. Finding the twist, hands to heart. Hinge at the hips, so you're not leaning at the waist. It's a long hinge. When the body's parallel, exhale, find your twist. Find what's right for your wrists. Stack your shoulders. Take that deep breath into the lungs again and then just move the muscles of the chest up and back. Can you keep a little extra weight on the outside edge of the back foot? As you're ready, release. Bring the arms back up again. Take the hands behind you, this time awkwardly interlacing the fingers so the opposite hand is on top. Usually feels fairly normal on one side, fairly awkward on the other. Again, draw the elbows to the outside of the mat. Hips stay facing forward. Hinge at the hip as you come forward. Head bows down, arms come up, or they don't if it's not good for your shoulders. Can you find a deep breath here? Where else do you need to release? Where are you stuck? As you're ready, release. Let the arms come all the way down, all the way up. Find your back bend. Hands to heart. Back foot comes up to meet the front. Mountain pose. Deep breath in. Check in. Can you slow your breathing down? And can you find that 3-part breath lungs, rib cage, and diaphragm that we started with today. What is the body's response to breath? Root, ground, and breathe. Taking a deep breath in, arms rise high. Exhale, draw the belly in, forward fold. Hands to shins, rise up halfway. Body parallel to the floor, exhale down. One leg back and then the other, find plank. From plank, find your way all the way down to the mat. Back bend of choice. Hips back to heels, find child's pose. Stay in child's pose for about 3 breaths. Maybe turning the fingers underneath, raising the wrists up and finding a wrist release here. Breathe into not just the upper back, but the middle back, across the kidney line, all the way into the lower back. As you're ready, let the hands come down. Come forward to the mat, but come to your forearms. And stack your forearms parallel to the front edge of the mat. So we're going to go into a forearm side plank here. So press into that front arm, doesn't matter which one it is. Curl the toes under in the back. Find your plank here. And then just pivot and drop your hips, stacking that front shoulder right over the elbow. Hands to hips to start. So just begin to notice, are you tilted forward and can you straighten up and draw back? Can you lift your hips so that you're working through the internal obliques? Maybe that top arm rises high. Maybe the gaze comes to the ceiling. One more breath here. And release. To the other side, curl the toes under, find a forearm plank. Stack shoulder directly over hip. Top shoulder directly over the bottom shoulder. Hands to hips, just to help you align. So again, you're not leaning it all forward, right? One hip right on top of the other. And then that top arm rises high. Lift from the internal obliques at the waist. Imagine that there's a flame underneath you, a little tiny tea candle. And you don't want it to burn your shirt. Nice deep breath in. And unwind. Let's find this kneeling plank. Stay nice and strong. Release, knees down. Meet me in child. Stay in child for 2 breaths. Massage out your forehead. As you're ready, pressing into your hands, come up. Bring your feet forward, come back to your hips. Go ahead and bring a block up to your hips. Gently drop your knees side to side. Lower body twist here, massaging out the entirety of the glute muscles. As you're ready, just drop over to the right. Explore and find a really tight place. And wherever you feel that knot, come up right beside it. So you're beside it, behind it, you're not on it, and massage it out. As you're ready, go the other direction. So explore over here. Might be very different on this side. Again, just find it and then come beside it. And one more time, drop the knees side to side. So let's find bridge pose. Find that block and bring it just behind the knees, right? Not the kneecap, not the knee joint, just right underneath that knee. Hold lightly with your legs. Press your feet down into the mat. Find neutral position of the spine. So there's a tiny, tiny arch there underneath the back, right? Just like a robin's egg arch. Just enough to protect that tiny egg. Let the shoulder blades settle onto the mat. Hands lightly at your hips, but don't push in with those hands. So from here, begin to articulate through the spine and just come up one vertebra at a time. And if there's a place where it feels like everything is coming up at once, go a little more slowly there. Imagine that you have two cables connecting your hips to the ceiling, and those cables are lifting those hip points up. Exhale and come down. Again, coming down one vertebra at a time. So inhale as you come up, exhale as you come down, 2 more times. Can you relax a little bit through the glutes? This is not, in this context, is not a glute exercise, it's not a glute squeeze. You're looking for release of the lower back. Take your time. Adjust the pose for you. Exhale and come down. Eyes closed. Settle in for a moment. Notice where you have settled onto your back. Gently move the block. Bring the block underneath your back. So it's underneath the sacrum bone. It is above the tailbone and below the spine. Your sacrum bone fully supported. Hands still down at your side. Maybe this is enough for you. This is right. This is good. Stay here. If you have a little bit more of a natural arch, if you want a little bit more, you can come up one level on that block. The block is still directly underneath the sacrum bone. You still feel fully supported. There's no real tension here. You should feel release. Find your breath. Can the breath move down the body on the inhale, up on the exhale? Take 2 more breaths here. Release any tension, anything that you no longer want to take with you. Release that into the block. Pressing into your feet, rise up just enough that you can remove the block. Come down one vertebra at a time. Again, settle into a neutral position of the spine here. Maybe the shoulders go a little wider. Nice deep breath in. And then as you're ready, just bring your knees up towards the ceiling, heels to hips. Heel of the hand to the tops of the knees, fingers coming down the shins. Just gently draw the knees into the rib cage and away. Just push forward and back here. So what we're doing here is we are restoring the neutral position of the spine, the natural arc of the lower back. Are you still moving with breath? As you're ready, one foot down and then the other. Extend your legs long. Maybe bring the arms up towards the ceiling, palms facing in. Reach the fingertips up as high as you can. Let the shoulders thump down to the mat. One more time here. Hands down to hips. Turn the head side to side from the top of one ear up and over to the top of the other. And as you're ready, come back to center. Turn the palms up and settle into this final pose of your practice. Stay here, and as you enter into it, I'm going to read you some poetry from All Along You Were Blooming. This is our prayer. O great light of the world, be my guide. Be the path beneath my feet when I feel that I might sink. Be the river in the desert. Be the storm when my soul is torn and dry. Be my hope. Be my treasure. Be my peace when I am lost inside. Be everything when I am nothing. Be the way in the wild. Be my guide. Be my guide. Still lying down, reconnect with your breath. Breathe deeply in, breathe deeply out. Notice the pace, the depth. How has it shifted and changed today? Gently begin to bring movement back. Wiggle fingers and toes. Rotate wrists and ankles. Turn your head side to side. And then next breath in, take a deep breath in, let the arms rise high. Stay there and breathe a few more breaths. As you're ready, draw your knees in, roll over onto your side, support your head with one arm, and stay there for 2 breaths. On that next inhale, press into your hand, come up to sitting, eyes still closed. Check in one final time, body, mind, and spirit. Inhaling, raise the arms up and overhead, palms to prayer. Exhaling, hands to heart, bow your head. Holy God, we know that we cannot be righteous on our own. And we are so grateful to you. We are so grateful for the sacrifice, Jesus, that you made for us, that we can be righteous in you, that we can walk in freedom. God, as we leave this place, let us draw others near to you, that they may also know the freedom that you bring. It is in the name of Jesus the Christ that we pray. Amen. Thank you for joining me today.